What's going on, guys? Alex Elaine here. Just wanted to jump on really quickly to talk about a few points because I've had some really interesting conversations this week, and something that's coming up time and time again is this whole view around, Alex, how can I justify charging for my services? And I guess it's almost like a feeling of imposter syndrome, that actually charging for your services or your offer, that you either shouldn't be charging a certain price or you should almost feel bad for it in some way. And I just really feel you have to get past that. And I want to talk about a few reasons as to why, how I was able to, and maybe a bit about my own story moving past that myself. So starting there, as many of you know, I've been in sales for coming up to 10 years now, so it's been a little while. And at the point I started to pivot to being a consultant and working with businesses and helping them out, initially I was charging really low for my services. You know, I remember I kind of came out charging about £75, which is about $80–90, which for sales expertise is really, really low, because I just felt like, well, how can I charge anything else? Am I good enough? I was asking myself all of these questions, and I always remember this pivotal moment, which is when I signed one of my early clients, and they came back to me and said, hey Alex, we've just signed a client that's worth $25,000 for us. And I thought, I charged them about £300, or it would be about $350, $400. And then they went and signed a client for themselves worth about 25 grand that they had stuck. And they said they only signed it off the back of the advice I gave. And I said, wow. At the time, it seemed like I was charging them a lot, but the results that they got out of it was so much further and more valuable to them than what it was that I charged them. I said, this really isn't ever about the cost of your services. It's really about delivering outcomes and how much value that you can deliver for a client to justify the cost. So I only ever focus on 3 letters, ROI. A return on investment. The cost is irrelevant. You can charge someone 100 grand, £100,000, but if the value of what they're getting out the other side is 5x that, who cares? They don't care that they've invested 100K. So I kind of jotted down a few points that I just wanted to make to help make a little bit more sense of this. And if you feel that you're stuck in this rut, hopefully this will help you kind of move past it. So the first thing is, I have this concept of the 1% rule. And what it is and what it means is that if you know 1% more than someone else in anything, whether it's a skill, something that you're knowledgeable about, something you're passionate about, if you know 1% more than the next person, it means that you can deliver them value, right? Because you know more than the average person. So as soon as you're in that position, you can already start to think about monetizing that skill or that knowledge or that passion that you have. So don't feel conflicted then that if you know more than the next person, it means you can deliver value. So always focus on, can I deliver some value here, or can I solve a problem here? And if you can ever do one of those two things, 1% more than the average person, then immediately you're in a position where you can start to do something meaningful or monetize that skill or that asset. The second thing is that you've got to remember, people expect to pay for services. We've all got lights to keep on, mortgages to pay, rent to pay, whatever the case is. People expect to pay. So when you go think about doing something for free or feeling conflicted, you're just really devaluing you, the value of your products, the value of your services. And so just remember that people expect to pay for things. It's not an uncommon thing for people to think, actually, I need to pay for this product or pay for this service. It's the way that the world goes round, very, very simply. So don't feel conflicted over that. The third thing is that if you're ever in that position where you kind of got a bit of imposter syndrome, or again, you feel conflicted, just remember to then focus on how you can over deliver in terms of value. So if you've got a product or a service or something you want to bring to the market and you wanted to charge £1,000, $1,000 for it, but you're thinking, can I really justify it? Turn that on its head and think, well, how can I over deliver in value? So if I want to charge £1,000, $1,000, You know, what can I do that is just so far in excess of that in terms of value that whoever takes this is just going to feel like it's an absolute steal? So just focus on that over delivery aspect. You know, how can you go so far above and beyond that the price just becomes almost irrelevant and the person's thinking, how is this actually this cheap, right? Try and get into that mindset. One of the other things is to really focus on delivering outcomes. So if you were thinking about someone helping with weight loss or some kind of fitness package or a business outcome to get to a particular revenue goal, all someone cares about is the outcome. So if they've invested, you know, 5,000 in you, but it's gotten them to their end goal or the outcome they wanted to get out of the service, the money that they've spent investing in you has kind of become a lot more less relevant, right? If someone had a fitness goal, they've paid you 5K to get there, and then they've got there, they've got the result, right? So fantastic. If a company's got a revenue goal or a lead target that they want to get to a certain amount of leads in a month, and again, they've paid you 5K, but then they've got the outcome that they wanted, you've delivered the outcome. So ultimately you've got a happy and satisfied client. So again, try and get away from being so centered around cost and feeling like an imposter or not feeling that you're justified in charging. Charge but deliver outcomes. You know, focus on having wildly successful clients, students, or whatever the case is, and you're in a position where justifying for what you're charging for becomes really, really easy. And the last thing is just to get feedback. So if you're feeling, again, a little bit conflicted or you don't know where your price point sits or whether you can justify it, start to get feedback, talk to people, get a feeler for actually, you know, would you pay this for this service? And if you wouldn't, what more would you want to see from the service to validate the price point that I want to charge? And ask people, charge someone, and then after the experience say, well, what could I have done better? How could I have added more value to this? Or see if they actually felt they got enough value out of it in the first place. So hopefully all of those points kind of help you in moving past actually being able to feel you can justifiably charge for your services. The reality is if you over deliver in terms of value, you're always going to have a happy client or a happy student at the other end of it. So always focus on that. If you wanted to go into any more detail about any of it, what I just talked about or what we just discussed, I'll leave a link in the description and also in my bio for you to be able to schedule a strategy call with me, completely free, so we can discuss a little bit more about you, your situation, whether you want to start or scale an online business or look into learning more about sales and how that can be transformative for you and your business too. So I love talking to people, I love connecting with people. So check out the link, let's book a call, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.